to our walkthrough today of car 26 here at the restoration facility, Real Mechanical Services in Columbia, PA. Harry and I are going to walk through some of what's been completed on this car, what's left, and then we do have a special appeal for all of you watching today to help us bring this car home. But let's start inside first. As you can see, the interior of the car has been painted. There is some touch-up left. It is painted in colors matching the way it came, or the way it entered service, I should say, in Newark, New Jersey, with the dark green and then the cream ceiling. This has been prepped. It has 3 coats of paint, particularly for the ceiling, but throughout. And you can see now it's just a matter of touch-up and finish stages. The painting is done other than touch-up. RMS crews are working on installing the windows, and then the seat frames, which have been restored, will go in after the floor is done. But we're getting very close to completing the interior at this point. As we walk through, you can see all but 2, excluding the operator's window, 2 of the windows have been installed. We really want to thank our donors who made this possible. The Buy a Window program was extremely successful for us. All new windows, the window frames have been polished, including the window guards. It is not installed yet, but we have new standee glass, green tinted, to match what these cars had in Minneapolis and then in New Jersey until the mid-'80s. And thanks to our donors, we've been able to do things like this. The interior was not part of the original scope of the restoration, but thanks to the generosity of our donors, our sponsors, our friends, we've been able to take this car literally to the next level and make it one of the most complete restorations of a newer car. In fact, the only thing really comparable to this level of restoration is what our friends did at Minnesota Streetcar Museum with former Newark number 3, which the scope of which was very similar to what we're doing today.
Right. In addition to the windows, almost all the seats are completed. They have been done in a similar green, and all but 4 seats are finished. Again, thanks to your generosity to the Donate a Seat program. That's also been very successful. So the next step will be to install the flooring. Once the flooring is installed, then the seat frames will go back in. Then we bring the cushions out and we'll start to install them. Before they get installed though, Matt has to, why don't you explain what you're doing with the heaters here, Matt?
Sure. One of the advantages, again, of getting such great support from our donors and taking the interior apart was to enable us to replace the auxiliary heat elements. They're located here. This area is actually the ducts that provide heat for the car. Kirk Wassling, the retired shop manager from Newark City Subway, advised me of the potential for failure in the old elements. He gave me the specs for these new ones, which we've ordered through your donations. RMS made the brackets and installed. Now, we've gone this far. We don't want to use the original heater wiring. So when the car goes back to Baltimore, we're going to replace the wiring. That's why when the car leaves RMS, the seat frames will be in, the seats will not. That enables us to pull back the stainless steel panels and do the wiring, and then reinstall the panels and put the seats in Baltimore. But this really was a blessing in disguise. 1, with the new heaters, and 2, disassembling the interior allowed us to do a number of hidden structural repairs. There were a lot of repairs to the exterior, skin and car body, but here we're able to have RMS replace a number of the deteriorated, if you want to say, structural elements of the car. It's the piece that runs here, runs up, and then forms part of the roof structure. When the ceiling was down, any deteriorated areas of these elements were cut out and replaced, both down here and up at the ceiling, enabling us to really do a quality job on this car.
Yeah, the ceiling was particularly difficult to do, especially the last 3 panels in the back. We found that some type of hydraulic fluid had permeated from the roof, and it permeated the, what are they made out of? Masonite?
Well, these are steel in this car.
These are steel in this car.
Steel panels.
But we believe it was leftover fluid from the pantograph. If you remember, these cars had pantographs for the last, year and a half they were in service in Newark. So we believe that's where that fluid came from. So Rob had to go all the way down to the bare metal and then treat it to try to get rid of all this fluid. So it was very difficult to do. Each ceiling panel has primer and then 3 coats of the deluxe cream paint on it.
At this point, why don't we walk outside and talk a little more about the exterior. Now, previously we've discussed the exterior of the car. The repairs to the exterior now are largely complete. You can see the car has been primed. It will get sanded and primed again. The lower rub rail work is completed. The new studs are on. All the rust is taken care of. The rail's been removed. Then there will be priming and final painting in the next several weeks. There's an area I do want Harry to point out.
Yeah, right here, when we went to do the priming work up here, this is the side destination sign. It's a specialized standing window. Anyway, the steel was so thin and corroded from rust. So Dennis completely rebuilt an entire new frame for the standing window.
And with all this work, here's where we need your help once again. Thanks to your generosity, we've been able to expand the scope of work of this project and really do some things that both are in the best interest of the car and really make this a first-class restoration. We have had a change, and that change is our original hauler who brought the car here to RMS has retired. So we have a new firm who's available to do the work for us, but of course there is a corresponding cost increase. With all this work and the beautiful car, which will be finished soon, we need your help to bring it back to Baltimore. There's an address on your screen to mail donations to. It'll also be in the text under the video itself. Please, we ask you to consider once again to make a donation to this project. Please note on your check that it is for car number 26. That way it's allocated to this project. We look forward to sharing with you when the car is finished painted and it comes back. At that point, there will be roughly 6 to 9 months of finished work to be done at Baltimore, mainly related to making the car run properly, final cleanup, and then hopefully next August, 20 years after the car was retired, to have a ceremony to formally welcome it back to service and make it part of Baltimore's operating fleet. Thank you.
Thank you.